A very warm welcome to the show Suddenly Single. Suddenly Single is a show that encourages someone outside there, that person who is feeling low, that person who feels like life has come to an end. I'm here to encourage you, to give you hope, and even to pray with you together and to let you know that whatever you're going through doesn't make you less, or that whatever you're going through, that is not the end of the world, because nothing is permanent, only God is permanent. Today with me here is a guest. I'm so excited to introduce to you and to do a show with my guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Kindly guests, tell us who you are.
Uh, Thank you for having me. And good afternoon, viewers. My name is Benjamin Amolo. Benjamin Amolo, I'm Kenyan. In my mid-40s, I'm married to one wife and I'm a father to two sons. I'm a father to a son and a daughter. My son is 20 from an estranged relationship, and my daughter is 2 years, 2 months. Once again, thank you and welcome.
Welcome, Benjamin. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be with you here. Today, I don't know where to start from because I'm so excited. I know that whatever God has put in your heart, you are going to encourage so many people outside there, because the Bible says that everything that we go through keep on repeating itself. It happened long time ago, it happened yesterday, and it will happen tomorrow. But even though, you know, we face challenges in our lives, but God deliver us all from them. And that is why I'm very, very sure that you have a testimony. I can say that is a testimony that you want to encourage people with, is it?
Yes, it's mine basically sort of story, but a real life experience I went through. Yes, you can call it a testimony. Yes, something that a few years back, which I started at a very early age, but later on it took toll of me in midlife, and it really brought me down in life. But today I'm here just to say that because of God's mercy and grace, I was able to overcome, and that's why maybe you're here to share the same. Yeah.
So what is that took a toll of you in your life, you know? Can you tell us what is it, and how did you overcome it, you know? Just tell us.
I don't know where exactly to start from, but
Just start from anywhere, how it started. Just start from anywhere. You know, when it comes to giving out a story, you know, most of the time you don't have a formula. Just start from where you feel you should start from.
okay, I went through something in life at a very early, young age, and this was out of my choice. It was a personal choice, and basically I ended up being in a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and other life controlling issues. But by the time I was starting at a very early age, it is something I just did it out of curiosity, I was just venturing into the world. But later did I don't know that it's something that is going to cost me my relationship, it's going to cost me my family, it's going to cost me my job, and eventually it almost cost me my life. It cost me to go into depression.
So at what age did you start venturing into the drugs that you were saying? How did it start? What happened? At what age?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Mine, I started when I was a very young man, almost 12, 13 years old. I was still in primary school.
Wow.
And it started a very simple way. My brothers who are grown-ups, and there were people who were working and they were able to, they were continuing with their life, but at some point my brother would trust me to go into his house at the weekends. So sometimes he just asked me to clean for him his car, and out of curiosity, when I was cleaning the car, I was cleaning the house, I would bump into a cigarette and bump into the drinks that they used to go and enjoy over the weekends.
In his house?
In his house,
All right.
sometimes in the car when he's asking me to clean. And I would, out of that curiosity, and I would see sometimes when they have their get-togethers, they would use these things, and then they just jovial moods. So with me, I was having that curiosity to, what is this thing that they normally use?
So were they having this get together in the house, or?
They would come with his friends and they would go out and have fun. But time and again, when once in a while, when they would come and have a party before, they would start maybe their day on a Saturday's afternoon.
In the house?
They would start within the neighborhood, within the house, you know. Or sometimes you happen to have visited to a friend's place and they are there. So they would start it from there. Later on they have their night outs and they go and then they come back. But me, I would ask, the urge came whereby it would make them laugh, it would make them so jovial. So mine was just the curiosity. What is it that I normally take that makes them be what they want to be, how they become, you know.
You were in which class by then?
By then I was in, if I close to standard 6, standard 7.
Oh,
yes.
So you were very curious. You were in class 7 and you used to see your brother. There's that thing that they normally take, and when they take it, they're very jovial. You became curious, and that's when you started testing.
Yes, exactly.
Listen to that, viewer. You know, as our kids, I mean, what do you normally do in front of them? These get-together parties that we do in the house, where people drink, where people do all sorts of things. You know, kids are watching, and they can, you know, at some point, they become curious and they start doing whatever we are doing, you know, just to figure out, just to find out what is it that our parents normally do, these people normally do, what is it that they drink, you know. As parents, we should be very careful whatever we do in front of our kids, you know. Drinking alcohol in the house in front of your kids, you know, that's, as for me, you know, personally, I can say that it's not appropriate, you know, because there are impacts, you know, there are consequences at the end. Okay, now continue, Benjamin. Then what's from there? What happened?
Yeah, some point, just out of the curiosity, I would get a cigarette and light it and do, I started with a single puff of the cigarette. Of course, it choked me. With the drinks, maybe I would just pour it in the lid a little bit and just have a sip. But eventually, a sip grew into 2, into 3. The cigarette went into the second, the third puff, because again, it would make me feel some sense of highness. And then
as young as you were.
Yes, and then all of a sudden it just disappear. But again, tomorrow I just want to try it again. I had this feeling yesterday. It was really, to me it was a strange feeling, though I was not getting anything tangible out of it, but that feeling made me go back again and again. But eventually, by the time I was doing it the 4th, 5th month, and I was doing it to hiding, and especially when I would smoke, I would just go and brush my teeth because of the smell. I would try even lick the whole Colgate so that I can kill the smell in the mouth. Or sometimes when I've overdone it, I would just hide from the house and hide from my siblings. It could be the whole day.
Wow.
You know, and the guilt, later in the evening, I'll just do things. It will make me now go because of the guilt. It will make me maybe seclude myself and keep myself away from the rest of the siblings, because I suspected maybe somebody could have noticed and then reported me to my parents.
So were you going to school by then?
Yes.
Doing all these things?
Yes, I was in my primary level, and I happened to have been, God had blessed me with, I was a bright guy, even in primary school, but 6 months, 7 months down the line, my grades started dropping gradually, because the effect now had started taking toll of me, and I could not concentrate on my studies. But I managed to have finished my primary school, but I did not manage to get the good results that were expected of me, and whatever my parents had expected, because I was in a certain class even since I was young. But by the time I was doing my class 8 exams, I had completely grown down. But it didn't stop me from doing the final exam. So
can we say that when you reach class 8, you're still doing this thing, you're still taking the cigarettes, I mean the alcohol, and these are the things that made you not to perform very well in your 8th grade? In
a larger extent, yes, because it made me lose control of myself.
At that point, your mom still didn't know what is happening?
My mom suspected. Of course, every mother knows her son or her daughter. My mom was always curious, but every other time she would come and inquire, especially when the grades when I'm bringing home, I would, of course, pretend, because when I was young and I was this bright, she loved me so much. So every other time I came and I was saying I have a headache, I'm gloomy, I would just pretend, because again, that pretext is what made me now even cover even the things that I was doing. But she suspected a lot that and something was wrong, but they could not know where to start addressing what was wrong with me, and I could not open up, because even then I knew, because even in our young age, anything you could do, it was just canes. You'd be caned at home, then you'd be caned at school. So that fear of whatever I've done, I could not even bring it to tell somebody that I've been using this, that's why this is going on. Yes.
Wow. Then, okay, from there you performed, which you didn't perform very well in your 8th grade. Then you went to high school. Then from high school, did you continue using all these things, and to what extent? What was happening by this time?
I managed to get some fairly good points to get me to
Secondary
a
school?
secondary school, but again, not to a national school as I had expected.
Yeah, because it seems you are national material, but then,
Yes,
all
yes.
right.
And then from then on, maybe my confidence started eroding. And my parents, having seen the drop in results, they just decided that they have to take me to a boarding school, you know. And I've never been in a boarding school before, so it was a decision that was made. I had not expected it.
You didn't
So
expect. You still wanted to go to day school?
Because I knew I would continue in a day school.
All right.
But again, then you used to do what our parents used to tell us to do, and I had no choice about it.
Okay.
So by getting myself into a boarding school in Form 1, Form 2, of course, the challenges came with it. I did not expect, that transition to me was so sudden. So again, you find that in boarding school, I could not cope. And if I were to cope, you see, I had to now get myself involved with the guys who I associate now with. And maybe in boarding school interior, we used to have in our school some group of guys called the AS guys. The AS guys are the guys who are coming from Nairobi.
Oh, the AS guys.
Yes, the AS guys. Now, in order for you to get into the system of the AS guys, you have to do all they had to do. And most of these guys were people from well-off families, you know, as much as I was not born in a privileged family, but I was coming from Nairobi, and I had to integrate myself into that group. I had just to do what they were doing. And most of them were like, in the Form 4s, Form 3s in the group, there were people who had to sneak, or most of the time it was to sneak and go smoke and come back. So that's how I found myself in the same cycle now in school. Yes.
So the AS guys, when you joined them, they were already doing that. They were smoking, sneaking out and going, to get some drink, then come back to school. So it's like you continued. So to what extent was it that, like, how many times did you do it in a week when you were in high school? Or
in the first initial Form 1, Form 2, then you're naive, you're afraid to do things, but when you get into now Form 2, maybe towards the end, you do, maybe it was once or twice, because once you do it now, the second time, the third time, now you've gained the confidence. But as long as now you could get the chance to do it, you just sneak out and go do your stuff and come back. Of course, it came with consequences. I was suspended a couple of times. Go back home, come back with your parents, come back with that barbed wire. But again, it did not deter me from doing, because again now it had become something, it had become a habit
in you,
in me and many more others. And even now, even big suspension was not even something big. And I would do things just because we were in school, and I didn't have a choice. So sometimes you're asked to go bring your parents because you've been suspended, and you see every other thing, and being that person with my own mind and craftiness, you sometimes would, if I can give an example, you'll be asked to go and bring your parents back at home because of what you've done. We had developed even devised means even to trick the school, because at some point we would hire.
You'd
hire somebody and bring him back to school. This is my father, you know. You pay that person some money.
That person that you could hire, that, is he a parent or is she a parent? That's what I'm asking.
The first person I brought to school at some point, the man I had as my father was a very close family member. I will not want to mention.
Look at that viewer. A very close friend to family member. You know, he went to an extent that he hired that person. It's like the man, when he came to school, he was told what you did, right?
Yes, he was.
But did he tell your parents at some point?
No, he had to cover up for me.
Look at that. You know, even that person that you consider to be your closest friend, I tell you, when it comes to your kids, you know, you have to take full responsibility. And I think personally, never trust anyone with your kid. You know, sometimes, you know, when it comes to issues of discipline, you have to be very, very strict and very, very keen, because even your brother or your sister can lie to you. He's just mentioned that a close family friend, he hired that person, to go there in school, and like, he's not the real parent, and he knew what Benjamin was doing, and he didn't say it. That is very strange anyway. So what happened after that?
Yeah, the guy went to school and he came in as my father, and he acted very well as instructed, and
Yes.
I got away with it, of course, with a punishment to put a strict and people know how the boarding life is. And now, because it was that easy to manage such a situation, the other time again, it was like that, but I think the second time I was found out, and that's why at some point now my father had to be called, to school. But he came, I received the necessary punishment. I remember I was caned even in front of the whole school. But
Yes.
again, after a while, it did not deter me from doing whatever.
You continued.
Yeah, because again, it had taken toll of me. It had get now into my system. This is the norm. But again, now what I remember very well is that it took me down, especially in terms of my grades. I really went down. I remember I was in Form 3. I was supposed to join Form 4. At that time, I've been given a responsibility as one of the school captains, one of the dormitory captains, and I could not manage to perform academically well. So I was asked, I could not even proceed to Form 4 because of the cutout marks that were supposed to manage to get me to do the final exams in Form 4. So I was being asked now to repeat this
Form 3.
Yeah, Form 3. This was another challenge. But again, when I was asked to repeat, my father was so much concerned, because again, being a school captain and being asked to...
So can we say that all this, it's just the habit that you had that contributed to all this?
The habit that had started when I was young, and I had continued nurturing it, and now it became like a lifestyle.
A lifestyle.
In school, this is how you maneuver. We've already gone through the necessary punishments, and you see, even sometimes my father would just come and intervene. Even when the school now had considered even expelling me, my father would come and make the interventions, and the school would just forgive me and ask me to continue because of my father's cry. Not because he didn't want to chase me, but because of my father, maybe. The intervention. That's why I was being kept in school.
So after that, you went to Form 4 and did your exams?
I remember in Form 3, if I may take you back a bit, I remember in Form 3 I just flopped in my grades. I got an E.
What?
I got an E grade, but again, I had to make things right, because I knew initially why I was... Something just triggered my mind, and I saw the cry and the thoughts that my father had for me. He came and sat me down, and he reminded me who I was, even from a very young age. And this time round, he didn't scold me. I just saw that pain in him, and I decided now that me being myself, I just have to make things right. And you see, this is where I made it wrong, and this is the very same area in the school compound. This is where I made it wrong. My father and the school administration had suggested that I repeat my class in another school, because being a school captain and that sense of responsibility, and then I repeat the school, it would have been so difficult for me to survive because of the laughter that would come from the students.
I can understand.
But again, I was resistant, because I was a person of my own mind and decision. And I said, I made the mistake in that school, I'm going to make it right.
In the same school?
Yes.
That's what
and I repeated. Of course, I was laughed at for 3-4 months, but everything became normal. I concentrated on my studies. Eventually, when I did my final exams, I managed to get a good grade to get me to university.
Look at that. From an E to a good grade that took him to university. Nothing is impossible. Wherever you are, viewer, just believe it. That when you are determined and you put God first and you say that you want to, sometimes the fear of being judged, that shame that can make you not to do things that you're well able to do. Nothing is impossible with God. Just look at that. I mean, he has just said that from an E to a grade that took him to university. That child, that boy, that girl that you have back at home, that you think cannot perform very well in his exam, he is or she is well able.